Hello. Today we're going to be continuing our government conversation and we're going to be talking about the Constitution and the public good. We are still in the Holt American Government textbook. You can find this for free online at the National Emergency Archives or the National Emergency Library. So, without further ado, let's talk about the Constitution and the public good. At the time of the Constitutional Convention, many delegates, such as James Madison, worried about whether popular government would be able to control the interests of factions, groups of people usually motivated by self interest. A faction can consist of either a minority or a majority of the population. Majority factions, Madison argued, were more dangerous than minority factions. In a Republican government, a minority faction can easily be defeated by a majority. A self interested majority, however, can threaten the public good because a government that is run by such a group cannot be easily defeated. Despite his concerns, Madison believed that the U.S. Republic created by the Constitution could resist control by such a faction. At the same time, he argued that the Constitution provides a way to make sure that the government has sufficient authority to rule effectively and that it enacts policies that promote the public good. Was Madison right? This section explores how well the Constitution has accomplished these goals and how effective the U.S. government has been under this Constitution. Preventing control by factions. Madison argued that the Constitution prevents control by factions in two ways. It takes advantage of the large size of the United States and it uses a system of checks and balances. Size. Madison was familiar with the arguments of his day that small republics were more likely to last than large republics. The citizens of small republics, it was argued, would be more likely to share interests, desires, and beliefs. Large republics, on the other hand, would have too many competing interests. Their governments would become arenas in which these interests would battle for control. The result would be tyranny by any faction that won control of the government. Madison, on the other hand, believed that having so many interests in a large republic like the United States was an advantage. The Constitution, with the rights and freedoms it promises, ensures that all interests have an equal chance to be represented. Madison said that with such a large number of interests competing for power, forming a faction that could completely dominate government would be difficult. In other words, a faction that did not consider the other group's interests would be unlikely to control government. Checks and balances. Madison also argued that the Constitution prevents control by factions through a system of checks and balances. As noted in Section 1, the Constitution provides each of the branches of government with ways to check the powers of the other branches. The checks and balances system gives each branch of government what Alexander Hamilton called constitutional arms for its own defense against the other branches. The framers of the Constitution believed that each branch would use its powers to check the interests of those heading to the other branches. If a faction took control of one of the branches of government, for example, its power could be limited by the other branches. Enacting good policies. According to Madison, the Constitution does more than just keep factions from using government for selfish, narrow interests. He also believed that the Constitution formed a republic in which it was likely that government will pass laws that serve the broader interests of society, or the public good. Madison again based his beliefs on the large size of the United States. Because power under the Constitution lies with the U.S. citizens, he argued that the government must pursue policies that address the interests of many people. Policies that serve only narrow selfish interests or that do not promote the public good cannot win majority support in a large republic with many interests. Policies based on the principles of justice and the general good, however, are more likely to gain enough support to become law. You can see Madison's ideas at work in your own community. Community debates over such issues as building a new convention center often revolve around how the community as a whole will benefit. Supporters of a new convention center might say that visitors to the center will spend money in the local community, thereby generating more tax revenue. If enough voters believe this argument and value the services that tax revenue helps provide, the convention center proposal will likely win majority approval. In contrast, a proposal that benefits only the narrow interests of one group, such as local construction companies, probably would not. So we're going to stop here, and in the next video, we will continue to talk about the public good and effective government. But until then, I hope you guys stay safe, and I'm looking forward to see you soon. Take care.